Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, as per your respective time zone. On behalf of entire Mastek Managed Services team, we would like to welcome you all to 23B Supply Chain Management Advisory webinar session. This is important session is to keep you fully synchronized with new features and functionalities as part of this quarterly release, which Oracle provides. My name is Rashi Sharma and I am a consultant at Managed Services team. So as mentioned earlier, today I am your host for this session. I am glad to introduce you to my colleague Amol Mangliwar, who is also part of our vast supply chain team at Mastek. Today he will take us through all the inventory and order management updates for 2023B quarterly release. Today's session is planned for around 45 to 60 minutes, and we will make sure that we also leave some time to answer your questions that you may have. Before we move to agenda for today, let's have a look at our important disclaimer. These advisory webinars are organized to equip you with the latest updates. The content of this session is based on the interpretation of the material and documentation that Oracle has released and is generally a guideline and recommendation only. Agenda. Our approach to Oracle update. We would like you to convey you our approach towards the Oracle updates in a very simpler method. Our analysis of latest release. We will be taking you through vital analysis for 23B updates done by our experts, which will help you incorporating new features and updates easily into the system. Also, we will sync you on any bugs, known issues if there are any. Closing question and answers. It's good to have an interactive session, so please do ask any questions through chat, question panel, and we will answer them at the end of the session. In case, if we run out of time, we will make sure to respond you back by connecting you at a later stage to answer any of your questions. This is to give you a glimpse of how we have created the structure of this session. List of new features coming into 23B. Detailing on features so you get brief understanding on what new features are all about. Next one is what are the business benefits and the important takeaway for you as a decision maker. There are 4 components where we have done in-depth analysis of features which we are going to present to you. First one is impact level analysis, which demonstrates the impact on the end user. If it's low impact, then regression testing can be avoided. If it's high, then we need to opt for regression testing. Second one is which we are all aware that there are some features which are by default auto-enabled by Oracle, and there are some which we need to opt for. Third, one highlights the nature of the feature. There would be certain configurations which may be required, or some can be used without any changes. Last one, quick win. This term is used simply to convey that what is ready to use by investing a minimum amount of time and what we require significant amount of time and effort to make use of this feature. Now, before I actually hand over to Amol, we would like to know with the help of a quick poll, which industry does your organization belong to? Okay, I'll be closing the poll in 10 seconds and then I will hand over to Amol. Perfect. Now I will hand over to Amol, who will lead you the presentation for today.
Thanks, Harshvi. Hello, everyone. We'll be covering total 32 updates of features today, and in which inventory module spanning across having 23 updates, and order management will have 9 updates. Here we go. First is update of new feature releases, hide inventory management infolets. Now you have the ability to hide the default infolets of inventory module on your inventory screen. And this is the choice when you utilize this feature, all the infolets of inventory module will be hidden and they cannot be unhidden by the users themselves. Along with this feature, a new feature has been introduced where you want to control the number of days of data in 3 infolets, namely receipt lines, expected receipt lines, and backordered supply line infolets. For these 3 infolets, there is a profile option by which you can control the data displayed in these infolets either by 7 days or the 30 days. These are the new feature release in terms of inventory management infolets. By these features, the benefit is that you can control the display of these infolets for all users at one go without needing users to do individually hide or unhide each of these infolets. So certain cases where you want these changes to be applied across all the users at your instance, these can be done. And hence this is a quick win. I am moving on to the next feature release. It's assign items to the sub-inventories and locators by using REST resources. Now, with this update, you will be able to assign the sub-inventories and locators to an item by using REST service. This REST service help you to do efficiently assigning these sub-inventories and locators at bulk rather than doing the on-screen changes for one of those items or one sub-inventory locator. Again, this is a configuration. There will be certain configurations needed, hence the configuration is marked as an S. And also, when you want to use this service, you have some technical efforts involved. Hence, it is not a quick win, but needs some technical code development. The third feature update is transact lots without on-hand quantity. Prior to this release, even when you enable negative quantity, negative transactions on a particular inventory org, you are not allowed to do transactions when a particular item quantity was 0 on a particular sub-inventory or inventory org. But with this new feature, you will be able to do the transactions even if a particular certain item quantity in the sub-inventory or the locator is 0. So you need to enable this feature, and also at the certain respective inventory organization has to be have allowed negative balances. With these two combination together, you will be able to do transact lot controlled items even when the quantity on-hand quantity at a certain sub-inventory or locator is 0. The next update is about primary and secondary transactions quantity in the case of dual unit of measure being visible in the inventory transaction real-time area. Now you can see these both the quantities in this OTBI subject area. Hence you can add these two columns to any of your head of reports which you want to develop or utilize and run the reports, and you will be able to see both these quantities for the lot controlled item and a dual unit of measure controlled item. Next update is about substitute items during peak release for transporter lines with budgetary control. Prior to this release, you were able to do substitutes during peak release for the transporters for which budgetary control was not enabled. But with this update, you will be able to do this substitute during the peak release even for the transporters which have a budgetary control enabled. This gives you flexibility to change items basis on your demand and as per availability for the transport orders which have budgetary control also enabled. Next update is about the REST resource available. With this update, you will be able to update the transaction defaults by using REST API. Hence, again, gives a bulk processing activity for you to manage item transaction defaults by using REST API. Here again, since it's REST API, you would need certain development. It is not a quick win, but it also does not require any configuration. Now, next update is about disable path for specific items. Prior to this update, your path setting was typically controlled at the sub-inventory or the inventory org level. You do not have any choice to disable path planning for a particular item under the sub-inventory. You had to remove this item from this sub-inventory to achieve that. But with this new latest update, you don't need to remove that particular item from a particular path sub-inventory. You can change the path planning method to not planned at a particular item path planning selection, and the item can still be assigned to the respective sub-inventory or org, and you can continue using path replenishment for all other items under that sub-inventory. And also at the same time, you can retain all the setups for this particular item at that sub-inventory level. And in future, when you want to continue to use the path planning for this particular item, you can switch back to the path planning method, and along with those respective item and path planning levels will continue to be used. So this gives a flexibility or a control for you to temporarily disable path planning for a particular item at a sub-inventory level. Next item update is about create copies of inventory organizations. This is more importantly helpful for the organizations or implementations which you want to utilize the existing inventory organization setup to roll out for the new organizations and test it for that. It will provide you the ability to change the name, code, and location of this inventory org. And at the same time, all other attributes from the inventory organization, all the setups from the inventory organization, I mean to say the org parameters, will be copied to the new inventory organizations. And it saves a lot of time, especially for the organization which need to test a lot of organization or roll out a large number of inventory organizations. I'm covering to the next topic where ship goods without having a sufficient on-hand quantity using a quick ship. This brochure feature allows you to do a quick ship even if you don't have sufficient quantity for that item under that sub-inventory locator, when the negative balances are allowed under that inventory org, and you should still be able to use the quick ship mechanism for those organizations. Whether it's lot controlled or a serial controlled or a normal item, irrespective of that, you will be able to use this quick ship mechanism, provided your inventory organization has negative balances allowed. Now, view fulfillment line details in the shipping real-time subject area. You have these new features which are coming: order source line, fulfillment line, and new source shipment ID. Along with the shipment line summary, these details are now available in the subject area of shipping area, which you can utilize to build any other ad hoc reports. The next update is important update where Oracle has released a new feature to control the number of all the pick release lines which are sending it to 3PL. Now, with previously you used to send all the lines following under particular pick release rule, whether there was a reservation or not reservation there. With this update, there's a new mechanism where you can click on this prior reservation only, and it will consider only the line shipping lines which had a prior reservation. Only those reservations lines will be sent to the third-party system or a WMS system. This gives you a greater control to manage which shipment lines are sent to your external execution system, so you can make your customer orders priorities appropriately. Another similar update in terms of sending the shipment lines to the 3PL or WMS is you can still control which sub-inventory lines related to the shipping you can send it to the WMS system. You have pick from sub-inventory, also pick from locator. These new attributes are now there, create outbound shipment request. Once you select these attributes, these will be honored and considered while sending the shipment lines to the WMS system as well as a 3PL system. Considering both these two updates, another new feature release, what it is being considered, that honor the source sub-inventory on the quick ship enabled organizations. So when we are sending these details of the sub-inventory, the system follows a 4-level of hierarchy. One is what is sub-inventory detailed in the detailed reservation. Second is pick from sub-inventory specified in pick view, what was seen just in previous slide. Thirdly, sub-inventory passed from Oracle order management. Prior to this update, this was not getting considered. With this update, this third priority also will get used. And lastly, whatever we have pick rules definition at sub-inventory, that is also gets honored. So you have these 4 levels of hierarchy to honor the sub-inventory on shipping line during the quick ship enabled organizations. When you have large volume of transactions going through shipping interfaces, you might want to purge these details either during the data migrations or the day-to-day activities. These shipping transaction tables might get heavily loaded. Now you have purge shipping interface enabled. With this process, you will be able to remove or delete certain transactions which are older than a certain period. And this makes your shipping transaction processing in the interface a very efficient way by removing or deleting the transactions which are certain older than certain period of time. Next update is about view secondary quantities, both requested as well as shipped in the shipping real-time subject area. With this update, you will be able to see both requested and shipped secondary quantities. Previously, it was there only the primary quantity. In the case of dual unit of measure, now you will see both unit of measures for requested as well as shipped. By this way, reporting will be more efficient. You will be able to see all the OTBI reports both in the primary unit of measure as well as second unit of measure for the items which have dual unit of measure enabled. Next update is again related to OTBI, where you will be able to see additional attributes in the receiving subject area. And here again it's related to dual unit of measure. Related to dual unit of measure, you will see primary and secondary quantity in receiving transaction detail dimensions, receiving transaction line dimension. And there are multiple other shipment and receipts real-time subject areas where this addition of both the quantity, primary as well as secondary quantity is available now. You can utilize all these subject areas and these secondary quantity in your reportings. This is here again related to product information management, where you can recall a particular item. Previously, you were able to assign one business units. Now there are multiple business units which you can assign to a particular recall notice. And by this way, where there is a particular business case where you have that material management business function, there are multiple business function business units which have material management on a particular item. At the same time, these businesses are managed by the same product recall manager who would want to see these details and assign these multiple business units to a recall notice. By this way, you will be able to assign, you can use a single recall notice for these multiple business units which are assigned to a particular recall notice. Another feature update related to recall notice is you can now add attachments to the lines of a recall notice. Previously, these attachment features was not available at the lines level. Now you can add attachments on the recall task as well. And at the same time, I would want to reiterate this fact that after publishing the recall notice as well, you will be able to do the attachments to this line. Now, two updates before we notice that multiple business units can be assigned to a recall notice. Now you can see those attributes coming into the OTBA as well, where now you have assigned business unit as a separate field and also owning business unit as a separate field into the OTBA report. These two attributes have been now added into the respective subject area and to utilize the feature of the multiple business units on the recall notice. Now we're moving into the cost accounting feature updates, where this is an important update where previously whenever you do create cost accounting distributions, it used to generate cost accounting distribution even for the cost element which is having a zero value. In that case, depending upon the number of elements which is having zero value, for each of the element you would have one debit entry and you would have one credit entry. Now with this new feature, you can enable this feature and use this to not to generate this accounting distribution having for the cost element which is having a zero value. But this feature will work only in case there are certain elements which has a non-zero value and there are certain elements which has a zero value. But if there are all the elements which are having zero value, this feature will not be considered for that. That means all the elements having zero value will generate a cost accounting distribution. But when you have a mix of cost elements having zero and non-zero value, all the lines related to cost elements with zero value will not be generated. By this way, there will be a great reduction of number of distribution lines generated, and hence the processing of your cost processor will also improve. At the same time, your reports, analytics, and create accounting processor will get benefited, and this will help in terms of reports and processing. Next release is that now you can exclude intra-valuation unit peak transactions. Previously, you would have a cost profile setup where you would wanted to whether account intra-valuation transactions or not. When you say you would wanted to use intra-valuation accounting also, yes. But at the same time, if you want to disable any transactions for picking within an intra-valuation unit, you did not have any choice. But with this new feature, you will be able to disable or exclude the intra-valuation picking transaction for generating any cost accounting distributions. This will be important when you have intra-valuation units at the valuation unit, but at the same time you have accounts a lower level than the intra-valuation unit. In this case, you will be able to make combination of account intra-valuation as an S and disable accounting of the intra-valuation picking transactions. These picking transaction could be related to sales order. This picking transaction could be related to transfer orders or the work in process transaction and so on. So these two feature updates will help you to reduce number of cost on accounting distribution which are getting generated. Another update related to cost accounting is that now you have a write-off mechanism for accruals which don't have receipts. There could be a certain cases in business where you have an invoice which is matched to a wrong PO for which you don't expect receipts in created. Another case could be you have an open invoice for the receipt that was created or cancelled later on, and you don't expect any changes to this invoice or these receipts in a long term. Hence, you would want to write off these accrual entries for these invoices. Now you can do this accrual write-offs against these invoices for which you are not expecting any receipts to be done, or you don't expect any changes on the purchase order. This is related to a bug fix. Prior to this update, when receipt accounting was not able to process foreign currency invoices where conversion type was set to user and the currency conversion date was not available on the invoice. This certain accounting for these invoices would result in error and warning in these cases, not process. But with this bug fixes, now you will be able to pick up the currency conversion rate on the invoices and also the conversion set type to the user. And now these transactions, invoices, future such invoices will be processed. Also, whatever invoices which are resulted into error previously also will be reprocessed automatically. This covers all inventory and cost accounting related transactions. Now we are moving on to the order management releases or updates. You have one first transaction is that you can copy order lines. Previous to this update, you had this feature of copy the order line only when the order is in draft status. Now you can copy these order lines when you are revising a particular order as well. And you will be able to copy this normal item, kit item, make to order item, or the configured item. All these three types, you will be able to copy a particular line. When you copy this line, if the previous line was also part of a shipment set, then the line would get copied, but the shipment set is not getting copied. That is something which we'll have to enter manually. Also, if you have any pre-transformation or post-transformation rules based on the previous order, that will not get add any of these items automatically. Those items will not get copied unless until you do those separate manual activity. By this feature, you will have an improved user experience. You can copy the lines when you revise the order. Prior to this update, when you copy the order lines, it would not copy all other extension flex fields which are entered on the line. Hence, now when you copy these lines now with this coming feature, it will also not only copy the standard fields, but also the additional information in the form of EFFs, which are stored in the previous line, will also get copied to the new line. But for this, you need to enable a profile option to copy these lines. Along with this feature, now we will be able to integrate order management with the subscription management in order to have both all the types of orders fulfillment flows covered in a single module. Whether these items are related to shippable item, whether these items are related to extend warranty or service level agreement, all these can be entered into the same order and also can be managed. Fulfillment of these items will be able to visible and see from the same fulfillment screens. So you will be able to manage subscription items as well along with this warranty or a non-shippable item in the same order to cash flow. Next feature is related to REST API to manage override currencies. Prior to this update, you would need to use only the user screen to manage the pricing strategy and relevant override currencies. With this update, now you have REST API to manage the override currencies of the pricing strategy. And by this way, you will be able to update those currencies, whether you want to view this list, change this, or update or override currencies. That is easily doable by using the REST API for manage override currencies. So you can do where there is a need to do a bulk transactions or a bulk update of the price lists. That is also doable, covering the override currencies attribute. You also at the same time, there's a new feature introduced to manage the rate plans by using the usage rate. Previously, you had a rate plans for one time as well as recurring. Now you have a usage type as well. Now for the subscriptions, you can manage the rate plans at the usage level. You can charge the customer based on the usage, but just not on one time or recurring. So by this way, you can include this third way of charge type on your price type. Next update is related to global order promising. sorry, my bad. Where this is about configurator modules. Previously, when you have a large number of uh, option classes in your configurator model, it would take a large amount of time to start and open up these screens. But now your new feature called as use a placeholder for these option classes. When there are no user-defined attributes for these supplemental attributes, then configurator will not try to load these option classes where you have marked this as use as a placeholder, and hence it will save a lot of time to run load these configurator models on the UI screen. You can skip. System will try not to pull these details models from the configurator model to the UI screen. Next update is about global auto promising. This is what I was trying to recollect, that this is a very common case where you are doing a e-commerce or a porting, and you would want the supply or the reservations to be in place until the user completes the auto processing. Now you have a feature when there's an item is added to the shopping cart or the code, there'll be a reservation made into the global auto promising against this code. When this cart is saved, at that point of time, this reservation is saved. But when eventually this user checks out from the cart and the order is pushed into the order management, at that point of time, user system will consider this demand source line reference on the order management module, and this is passed on from order management to global order promising, and global order promising will replace the previous reservation done during the cart creation process through this order management. At the same time, if the user does not complete the shopping cart creation process to the translate to the order, you can have a timeout on the shopping cart. By that, the temporary reservation done will get automatically cancelled. Or if the user removes the item from the cart, that point of time also this reservation, temporary reservation will get cancelled. With this new feature and coordination between the e-commerce or the CPQ system, order management system, and global order promising, you will be able to temporarily reserve this supply and ensure that whenever the user is adding an item to the cart, and the same reservation is honored when the quote is getting converted into the sales order. So by this way, you'll have better user experience. Another update in terms of global order promising, there have been certain changes in recent quarters to scale out the architecture of global order promising module to have a horizontal grid and also at the same time capacity of the global order promising. This new architecture reduces a lot of operational overhead, making supply and reference data updates immediately available. By this way, you don't need to do any refresh and restart of the global order promising anytime, because the data is always synced in. So just as a heads up to everyone that starting 24A, the CC++ global order promising, which is the prior architecture of the global order promising, will be retired, and all order promising in Oracle Fusion will be performed in this new high volume order promising architecture. At the same time, if you want to choose to transition from the C++ global order promising to the new solution, at any point of time, you can do that by opting into the higher volume order promising feature. But at the same time, it is important to note that if you're using capable to promise or allocated order promising, there'll be certain setups needed for you to change from C++ based order promising to the new high volume order promising module. This global order promising model in high volume has a larger capacity of functioning. Last feature on the topic is when you can split order lines when the supply meets a minimum threshold. You can set up a certain threshold for orders lines under which if you will be able to fulfill the item quantity up to the threshold, only then you want the global order promising to split the line. And if the required quantity up till this quantity is not available until certain date, then global order promising will try to push the scheduled ship date until that this particular quantity is available. Once this quantity becomes available, then order might split into those quantities for the remaining balance quantity. By this way, you will be able to achieve the customer's expectation of minimum quantity which the customer is expecting. I think we have covered all the topics what we wanted to cover. Handing over to Rashi.
Thank you, Amol, for the wonderful insights. Before we move on to our question and answers, with the help of a quick poll, we would like to ask you and quickly note down the area of your interest in order to organize future webinars with more value-based content. So I'm just going to launch the poll now. I'll be closing the poll in 10 seconds. And here's another poll to let you know your area of interest, whether it's managed services, innovation technologies, chatbot, RPA, AI, VBA, data masking tool, cloud transformation. I'll be launching this poll now. And I'll be closing this poll in 10 seconds. Thank you, everyone. Now I'll be moving it over to Utsav Thakur, who will be dealing with the question and answers, if there are any. Over to you, Utsav.
Thank you, Rashi, but unfortunately there are no questions on the chat right now.
That's okay, no worries, thank you. And you will receive an email in the next couple of days' time where in-presentation and session recording will be available to you at a single site. Before you leave us, we would like to have a quick feedback on today's session. And if you can just answer the questions, I'll just launch the poll. Have you attended any of our previous advisory sessions? And I'll be closing the poll in about 5 seconds. Perfect. Thank you, everyone, for today.